Alright, to point out some other features in Maya that we can utilize to get the idea of what it looks like within a game engine, we have the ability to do a light mask situation. So light mask is the ability to see ambient occlusion in the corners. Now you can bake in ambient occlusion or you can just render it. So in order to get started here, what I'm going to do is grab a different light. This directional light hasn't been covered yet, and basically it's like a laser beam, and I can point it in any direction. No matter what's blocking this, it's always going to go whatever, through, around, because it's all going in the same direction. I would say if it's got a shadow though, the shadow is going to be over this hanging of it if there's a box in the way of this one. Nonetheless, I'm just going to turn on use ray tracing shadows, and you can get an idea what this looks like. And you can see, because this is an open lid, the lid is getting caught here and then broadcasting up onto the wall. Get rid of that and it's no problem. Alright, now we're going to use a scenario. Let's go into this and let's go to features. There's a lot of features here. Let's go to ambient occlusion. First off, how about render out the scene at a low res? So here, go to common and drop it back down to 640 by 480. Okay, we'll render out the scene. And it doesn't matter what you choose. This one's the render, but yeah, what we're looking for is just a default rendering. So notice here in the corner, I don't have anything. I could save these if I wanted to. If I click here, I can save that picture so I can go back to it. And now what I'm going to do is turn on occlusion. So under passes, whoops, features, let's go in here and say ambient occlusion. Once I check that, let's re-render the scene. And then save that one out. Now we could toggle between them using the arrow tools. Alright, looks like it's not really saving all that well. Oh, there it is. So slight change, nothing much to write home about. Ambient occlusion is really weak. Alright, well, ambient occlusion renders a lot nicer with a thing called final gathering. So we're going to turn on final gathering, re-render the scene, and now we're starting to see a brighter attribute being put in the corners. Alright. Now, light sources don't cast in magical places. Like, they just don't formulate out in the middle of nowhere. We need something to actually cast light in order for our scene to look good. To do that, we employ a shader. It's called the shading map. And we can attach this to any piece of geometry. In this case, I'm going to attach it to a polygon tube. Just like that. That's a rather large tube. I haven't seen them quite that thick. Okay, just navigating this into position and shrinking it up some. Alright, well, I'm going to attach that shading network, this one right here, shading map, to this middle mouse button, click and drag it over. Oh, stupid house. And hypershade disappeared. And hypershade is now gone. Oh, it's coming back. There it is right here. And what we're going to do here is take the surface shader. Notice it's not in this one because it was in the other one. That's why it kept searching back to the other scene. Here's shading map. And I'm going to attach shading map to the tube. If I render this, I get this. Notice there's a slight glow here. Slight. Well, let's pump that up a little bit. I could choose this shading network. And down below, I have color, shading color. I have mental ray. Okay. What I'm looking for is the ability to take and make this color an actual light source. Okay. So in order to do that, I could change its color to white. And you'll see now it's starting to glow. Some lights formulating in the scene. Since I have this set up, the final gather, that'll work. Without final gather on, you will not see anything as far as the light is concerned. And now if I was to kill the light source, like this directional, and go ahead and re-render the scene, you'll see that there's light, even though there's no light. Okay, I'll switch back to 5 on the keyboard. Now there's another one in here called Surface Shader. Surface Shader is a little bit different in the fact that it has an out color, an out glow color. So for this case, I might be able to upgrade this just to about a gray and switch it out with this one. Alright, now watch what happens when I render out the scene. There we go. So one's a little bit brighter and I can adjust it. The other one's not so bright. I can use it for neon tubes and things. This is only a fake light, however. It's not really casting light. It's just glowing. So I call this emissive lighting. The moral of the story is you use emissive lighting to show where light is. So now I could add a point light to the scene, move it up in the air, and go ahead and render the scene out. In this case, it makes sense. The light's coming from the tube. So just remember that we use lights and we use things like emissive properties on objects in order to falsify light. Alright, now that you get an understanding of that, let's move on to the next video.